the first one is, if you can just look at Namibia's FDI, and we use FDI, understanding and recognizing that local investments is equally important. But if we use the foreign direct investment as a proxy, you will clearly see our performance over the last, since 2029. You will see that we barely made it below $1 billion in terms of attracting foreign investments. It's only over the last couple of years that we've been edging above that number, and that's largely to do with the oil and gas discoveries, and which constitute about 45% of those direct investments. So that has been the trend, and that's why we feel that the attraction of capital is fairly important. I just want to give another context in terms of the African landscape. Now, if in 2023, Africa as a whole is estimated to have attracted about $162 billion in FDIs. Egypt, Ghana, and Morocco has been leading that pack in terms of the countries with job creation from their FDIs. Now, if you look at Namibia, and having attracted about 1.2 billion in 2023, the jobs that we could create from that direct investment is only about 4,500 jobs. That means per job, if you look at the per job cost, it's about 4 million per job, if you just look at that. So I think it shows us something, that the efficiency at which our capital translates into job is very, very low. Okay. Or the cost at which we are creating job is very, very high, put otherwise. So there is a need to enhance capital efficiency so that each dollar that we put into the economy attract and creates meaningful jobs. And I think that's really what it means. And I wanted to just illustrate this point. So the collective task of creating these 500,000 jobs, what it actually means is that if you need to create that jobs at those levels, and we use that as a proxy, understanding that this is not always an exact science, then you need about $2.3 trillion between now and 2030 to put into the economy to generate that level of job. And this is for us telling that we don't have that level of capital, and therefore we need to almost find alternative capital sources from everyone to bring into the economy, as well as our own local capital, and deploy it more efficiently. So in doing so, I think we've identified about key constraints. So what I've done is I'll look at the key constraints, because the ask for us is to say, how do you then deploy capital? How do you attract capital and deploy it in a way that translates into jobs? So that talks to the efficiency of capital. What are those things that stands in the way of capital flowing into the sectors that we want them to flow, so that they can translate into the kind of outcomes that we would like to see? And I think we have established the fact that we need capital, both foreign and local. And I think that equation and that point has been made eloquently throughout this session. So I'm just going to look at the key constraints, and then my co-presenter here would look at the root causes of that with a view of hopefully providing targeted solutions, specific solutions on how we can address those root causes that we are pointing out. And a whole bunch of things have been said, and we're not going to repeat too many of those. They might actually resonate with you. The first one is about blended capital. The absence of blended capital in this particular market is a key issue. Blended capital simply refers to different sources of capital that you can combine in order to fund a transaction. So it means some projects require different sources of capital to make them viable. So if you have a $1 billion project, the first part of the capital, especially relating to specific industry, new industries, digital and innovative industries, and startups, they might, and large-scale social projects, those are the ones that might require different levels of capital, such as perhaps from government, from donors, and perhaps from concessional loans from other technical partners. So that's the first one, and I think we'll speak to that. The second root cause is access to specialized skills, more so the skills that are required to execute on large-scale, impactful projects. They require a certain set of skills these projects are too is too impactful, and they require large pools of capital for them to basically require that level of specialized expertise. And then the last one is, I think it has been talked a lot about. It's really about what the key constraint is: the uncompetitive regulatory regime that lacks modern investment structures to attract the kind of capital that we are looking for. That kind of capital sits somewhere in the world, and because capital is highly mobile, we need to find ways that we can either incentivize it, and we can find ways to get it here by streamlining our processes, especially on the regulatory framework of the country. So I think those are the 5 key constraints that, if you look at it, they are also collaborated by the report that was shared by Margaret early in the conference. So you will see a number of things that I've mentioned that relate specifically to those constraints. So maybe at this point, I would want to invite my co-presenter, Tandakos, to come and delve, at least provide an overview of the specific root causes with the understanding that we can then provide solutions that will then fix those specific root causes as interventions. Thank you.
Thank you very much to my co-presenter, Josephat. So my assignment today is to cut right to the chase, focusing on the root causes and looking eventually at some recommendations that we have come up with as a committee or as a working group that really cut across the entire financial sector. And we are actually looking at a lot of what was discussed already by the other working groups, because this serves to finance all the priority areas that have been identified by Her Excellency as holding high priority for our development. If I may, I would just like to preface it by saying that I've been in the industry of financial services for over 20 years. And when I initially entered the industry, the issues that we're going to be discussing today are the same issues that were contentious at the time. And what is really sad to see is that we have made very little progress in addressing these things. For the first time, though, I can say that I really feel extremely positive that given this platform, we have a real opportunity to make some progress, and that progress will be imminent. Okay, so the first constraint is lack of Namibian risk capital flowing into our own economy. What's the constraint we're discussing here? Namibia is a very capital-rich country, yet very little investment is made into job-intensive, labor-focused sectors, especially SMEs, due to the high perceived investment risk. So we have massive savings, pension funds, unclaimed deposits, and a lot of capital that remains idle, while entrepreneurs and youth-led businesses lack funding. The tax system offers no incentives for private institutional investors to back startups, while pension fund rules fail to recognize the venture capital asset class as a defined category. We focus more on private equity, which is for more mature investments that are very well established. What is the root cause of this? As I mentioned, a very low risk appetite in our financial system. This is because financial institutions favor collateralized low risk lending over innovative financing solutions. And this is, I need to preface this by saying that we have different types of financial institutions. However, the ones that have been established in Namibia and have gained a lot of traction are the ones that have a low risk appetite. What we need to do is have a deeper financial services sector that can cater to venture capital instead of putting pressure on established financing models that are not necessarily for venture capital. Another root cause is no tax incentives. That has been discussed extensively. Our tax system doesn't reward investors. There's also an absence of frameworks for idle domestic capital. There was a number thrown around of 400 million in unclaimed deposits in the banking system, also in the pension fund system. That money could be deployed for development if a framework could be created. There's also an absence of a framework for idle domestic capital, a lack of governance and compliance for Namibian SMEs, and also a lack of blended capital, as Josephat already mentioned. Constraint 2, weak investment project development PPP skills. We have a lack of skills that focus on development finance, that focus on project preparation. Most of our skills are focused on collateralized lending and very low risk appetite. We need to develop the type of skills that can help us to unlock the value of IP, can help us to prepare projects in a way that can make these projects viable. The root cause of this is private sector project development, which has a lack of investment skills, limited capability to structure bankable deals. We've also got a public sector PPP capacity constraints. Our PPP departments are not well capacitated to be able to understand and evaluate projects. We've got underutilization of our local private sector expertise with limited integration and utilization of local expertise in structuring feasibility work. Constraint number 3 is the limited options for easy and safe investment structures for foreign investors. Namibia's key constraint is the lack of a modern legal framework that allows flexible investment structures. The root cause of this is legislative framework, which has been discussed extensively, a lack of incentives, over-regulation, and a lack of that elusive investment visa that has been discussed also by all the working groups that have participated. What are the recommendations and proposed actions that we have come up with as a working group to address this? For constraint 1, which is the lack of Namibian risk capital, our own capital flowing into our own projects, we are recommending firstly, a venture capital and youth development tax incentive. And it actually doesn't have to be limited to venture capital and youth development. It can actually span across all the sectors that we have discussed, agriculture, etc. And we want to see Namibia introducing a dual tax incentive, allowing up to 100% deduction for investments into licensed venture capital funds or donations to the National Youth Development Fund or creative industries or any other industry that we can think of that needs development. The second recommendation is pension fund participation in venture capital. We believe that the Pension Funds Act and the Long-Term Insurance Act can be amended to define venture capital as a subclass under unlisted investments. This will really help to provide a mandate for pension funds to allocate a percentage of their total assets to venture capital through NAMFISA licensed funds. Given the time, I'm going to skip through some of the other recommendations and move to the second constraint. Weak investment and project development PPP skills. We believe that private sector project development training is really required in Namibia. We need to develop national programs for this. Public sector PPP capability training is also very critical and necessary, and process reforms to introduce time-based approvals, with deemed approved provision, tiered pathways for small, medium, and strategic projects, as well as standard skilled allocation matrices and templates for contracts. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this space for our skills to be upgraded. For constraint 3, limited options for easy and safe investment structures for foreign institutional investors. Our recommendations include establishing special economic zones for financial services, reviewing and modernizing our regulatory framework for the establishment of international funding vehicles, as well as deepening local capital markets, as I have mentioned. Not all funding for development can come out of the traditional commercial banking sector. There need to be other vehicles, and we need to understand how those vehicles work. We also need to strengthen investor attractiveness and protection. And I would like to conclude by saying, while our group's primary focus is or was financial mechanisms to unlock capital, it is important to acknowledge that non-financial barriers exist as well, such as policy uncertainty, overregulation, and bureaucratic delays that have a direct bearing on investor confidence and capital flows. There are systemic issues that constrain project bankability, and they increase the perceived risk around Namibia as an investment destination, and ultimately limit the effectiveness of financing reforms. So policy consistency is really something that needs to be streamlined, and our regulatory processes as well. And it needs to be a very predictable governance framework that investors can rely on, that really provides a framework which creates essential cofactors for unlocking both domestic and foreign investment. As one of my learned colleagues mentioned in the panel, capital goes where it is rewarded and stays where it is treated well. So if we focus on this as a nation in terms of our vision for Namibia, we can actually turn a lot of our challenges around very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephat. Thank you very much, Dantakos. We will now open the floor for questions. A reminder as we head into the Q&A session, we have the highest office in the country represented in the room today. Let's make sure that we respect that office in the way that we conduct ourselves. So, as we know, accessing financing has been a reoccurring issue across all of the sessions. If there are any questions to address to our panelists, please make your way to the microphones. As was stated earlier, there are 4 microphones across the room. Remember to state your name, the organization that you represent, and keep your intervention to 30 seconds in as far as possible. Are there any takers?
There is one here. Thank you, Director Ceremony. Comrade President, my intervention will really deal with the issue of capacity development in relation to entrepreneurs. Because when we deploy money, and that's where many other people are no longer allowed to borrow, because those that have borrowed before probably could not manage it right. But the banks did not develop any way to capacitate entrepreneurs so that they are able to run their enterprises in a manner that will enable growth. It is also, we need, as we are saying, as a team and a citizen, we need to participate in the capacitating, because the bank have got some money, but they must be able then to help this particular entrepreneur to grow. So it is a joint responsibility, and if capacity is not being addressed, so we will always have problems. But those problems can also be sorted when we do that. That was my contribution, Comrade President.
Thank you very much, sir. I see there's another question right over here. Please go ahead, sir. Sorry, no, behind you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Good. My name is Ben Uester. I'm the CEO of Oryx Properties. I just want to commend the group for their presentation. I'm quite passionate about the investor structures constraints that the group has spoken about, and I want to elevate the discussion about REIT legislation. This is real estate investment trusts. I think it's safe to say the real estate industry has been hindered and impacted by some of the tax changes, and I think some of those were unintended. And I must also say that we're working with the Ministry of Finance to help us with that. But if we're really looking to attract foreign capital, we need to create an investment environment with structures such as REIT legislation. These structures are global structures. They are aware of and used to by the international community, and it really makes the transactions around real estate a lot easier. So I just want to lobby for real estate investment legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take the next question from Josiah. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. And yeah, well done to the team. I was part of it, so I really love the delivery. But my question really is about PPPs, perhaps to Josephat. In your opinion, how much capital can PPPs attract to Namibia if the policy is well implemented? And what is currently stopping it as we stand from those PPPs taking effect in the country and creating jobs like they should be? Thank you.
Thank you, Josiah. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Mine is a comment, mainly because almost all presenters are talking about skills. The president mentioned that she wants to be taught things that would not make her happy. But I want to remind Comrade President and others that the skills audit, not audit, but survey, was done extensively during the 4IR survey that was commissioned by President Hage Geingob, may his soul rest in peace, because I was part of the researchers that worked on that. The 4IR report details on how we can upskill, reskill in this country, which also speaks about how the upskilling can start from the curriculum development. That report, the final report, I'm pretty sure sits with the Minister for ICT, and a lot of what has been spoken in that report is yet to be realized and implemented. The last point that I want to mention is, in the same report also, we detailed that the last job category survey took place in 2018, which is 100% outdated, and the Minister for Labor, I don't know if he's still here, the reason that was given was that they don't have money to conduct a similar survey to align the skills and the jobs that we have now with the future jobs that are to come. So if that report can be brought up and be implemented, I think we are going to cover a lot of the shortages of skills that we are talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that reflection. We'll take our last set of questions before I hand over to our panelists. Can I ask, there's a gentleman right at the back. Please go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Matthew Haikali. I'm a sports consultant. Dion Hoto is a professional football player that represents Namibia at the national level. Dion is very lucky because he's been granted a piece of land in the Rongo region to build an environmental-friendly sports stadium. Now, if you look at this, he wants to contribute both to employment creation, but also wants to help Her Excellency in the infrastructure building of a stadium. Now, my question to the panel, how can a sports person such as Dion be assisted to be able to fulfill his dream? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The gentleman at the back, and then we'll take the sir in the front, and that will be the last set of questions. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Coincidentally, my name is Dion Shikuza, and the previous speaker happened to be speaking about Dion. Your Excellency, I observe and stand on the protocol that has been established. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to make a few reflections. I identify as a youth advocate for sustainable development. And my first question was, I heard about the 45% that oil and gas constituted in terms of capital inflow that came in between 2021, or in 2021 basically. So I wanted to do the comparison between grey financing and green financing to also encourage for our country to look into the green financing arena, because there's a lot of opportunity and economic advantage that Namibia has, whether it's solar or other environmentally advantageous areas. The Bank of Namibia has the Sustainable Financing Alliance. Bank Windhoek had the first green bond in SADC. I think we should tap into those green financing, especially for youth employment, because it's a bit easier for young people to enter into those areas than the more established sectors. Then the other one is...
Sorry, sir. In the interest of time, one question only. Sorry for that.
Okay.
So
Sure,
please
no
go
worries,
ahead.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Daniel Hoofd. I'm the CEO and founder of Kelp Blue, so based in Lüderitz. And thank you, Dion, for that assist. One of the things that we have done is establishing a blue bond, the first blue bond in Africa, one of the first corporate blue bonds on the planet. And we intend to issue that in a year or so. And that's illustrative of some of the strengths that Namibia has. So our experience with the regulators on this, with the NSX, with the assistance of the NIPDB, with many of the ministries has been superbly positive. However, we also have experienced, in reality, a single issue, which is a non-financial consideration, which has meant that our investment into the country is now curtailed. So we have invested about 300 million in the first 4 years of our existence. Your Excellency, Madam President, you were visiting us in June 2024 when you were still Vice President. At the time, we had 104 employees, average age 26, in plant genetics, robotics, automatic instrumentation, R&D. So exactly, I think, the sort of jobs that we're talking about. Blue economy, agricultural sector, climate resilience. There were 2 foreigners among these 104, including myself. Today, sadly, we're at 48. And this comes from a restriction of the ability to sell our Namibian product in Namibia. The registrar of the Ministry of Agriculture is in court with us, or we are in court with her. To date, over 9 months, we have yet to understand why this is being refused. Not a single substantive argument has been brought. So my question to the panelists is, non-financial restrictions are ultimately what will hold investment back. Otherwise, we would have already put 1 or 2 billion into this country and created perhaps 400 jobs. So if you multiply my experience by the 200 people in this room from the private sector, that adds up to 100,000 potential jobs that are sitting in business plans that are perhaps waiting for a permit, waiting for an approval. So this forum, I think, is an incredibly positive solution to this fundamental problem. And I'd like to ask what the panel, if possible, to give a single answer to that complex question, would recommend to reduce those financial considerations.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We will now take the last 2 questions. There's a gentleman who's been standing at the back for quite a while. Please, sir, we're almost over time, so only 10 seconds, and then ma'am at the front.
Absolutely. So I'll make it very short. My name is Kamadi Ashela, co-founder and CEO at Pulse Electronic Solutions. I am an engineer by qualification, and my concern, Mr. President, is that there are very few domain-specific knowledge people within the financial space. So our development banks have been crowded with people from the financial space who know how to do the accounting and the finances, but do not understand the domain-specific knowledge of our field. So we would like to see somebody from the medical field or from the biology field lead one of these development financing institutions and try to see what type of change results we see from that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Martha Omati. Just a quick one. Just to flip, I always say flip the coin. We've been talking about DBN this, DBN that. But then in discussions around access to finance and the collapse of development finance institutions such as DBN and SME and the SME ban, attention often centers on barriers to funding. Yet, we seldom confront the peril issue of non-performing loans. When beneficiaries fail to repay, it undermines the mandate and sustainability of these institutions and limits the opportunities for other entrepreneurs. So the question is that what accountability mechanisms and credit recycling frameworks are being implemented or should be considered to ensure that beneficiaries honor their obligations and that access to finance remains sustainable and inclusive for all, so that when who comes after those who have benefit can also benefit from that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the questions that we've received. Just to cover some of the issues that were touched on. So firstly, there was a question around capacity building and what potentially banks can do in order to capacitate entrepreneurs and able to manage their finances better. There was also a question around legislation that relates to the real estate investors. When it comes to PPPs, what is the opportunity that we are losing out because of some of the inefficiencies? For sports, how can we support sports entrepreneurs? Green financing was a topic that came up extensively yesterday. However, there may be some non-financial restrictions that are limiting growth in that sector and also employment creation. When it comes to DFIs, can we maybe look at making sure that it's also capacitated or they're capacitated with sector experience? And then if there are any considerations around incorporating mechanisms that will account for NPLs. Panelists, over to you.
Thank you very much. Maybe let me take a number of them and I'll lump them because they fall under the same theme. So I think maybe without really putting up some sort of a defense mechanism, I want us to all understand the structure of the Namibian financial sector, because I think it's through our financial sector that we mobilize most of the capital that is necessary for investments. So I think if you look at it, I mean, and I think you can look at, it can be verified by the reports from the Bank of Namibia. So the biggest sector that mobilizes savings pools within the economy where capital is derived from would be your pension funds, would be your non-bank financial sector. Collectively, they're sitting with assets of about 470 billion or so. Then the second one would be the banking institutions that have maybe half of that in assets. So if you look at that, those pools, and this is why we've identified the absence of blended financing, there are other actors that are required in the financial system to close those gaps. Projects such as social infrastructure are not suitable for certain types of funding, and that's why we are suggesting to Her Excellency to look at ways that we can introduce blended financing into this ecosystem so that we can then take capital from different portions or from different pools and fill the full value chain of what is required to finance some of these major impactful projects. Some of it is technology. Some sectors are simply too new, so we don't know much about them, and so the risk that is exposed. So, of course, all of us would be pensioners. We would not want to put our pension fund money in an investment whose dividend and returns would only materialize over the next 25 years because you are retiring tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So the profile of capital might be different, and that's why we're saying let's then mobilize capital from different alternative sources that can then fill those risk gaps so that we ensure that we have the full value chain. And I think for me, our country is more a case of, as all the other speakers have talked about, it's a case of mobilizing the same resources through coordination, better coordination, and better streamlining of our collective efforts as a country. Because you would see that there are pools of capital that fits that profile. Some of them sit in a venture capital fund, some of them sit in the youth fund, some of them sit somewhere else, in DBN somewhere. So, but as a country, we need to start pulling those funds together so that we can plug those gaps where they become quite visible. So I think that would be my sort of response to that. The question to the PPPs, the simple truth is PPPs are very large-scale projects. They require multidisciplinary teams with different types of expertise and different capital pools. And for that, because they are so large, you really need to find a way that you can bring in and crowd in both private capital, concessional loans from our bilateral partners or other development partners and so on. So I think but I think they can be quite impactful once they take off because they are the ones that can actually create jobs in significant numbers. Maybe let me stop here for now.
Thank you. Dantakos?
Since we were very conscious of the time, I actually did not even have time to stand on the protocol that was already established or greet Her Excellency, the President, and the First Gentleman, as well as Madam Vice President. and Honorable Prime Minister. So all protocol observed. I would like to comment very quickly on an array of comments that were made, because I think we have to sort of roll it all into one discussion. On capacity development, I would say that it's actually not correct to say that we have not had any capacity development initiatives on a national level, or from the banking sector, or from the financial services sector. I personally have been involved since 2019 in the mentoring and coaching program that was initially rolled out by DBN together with GIZ, that was specifically targeted towards SMEs, and Mr. Hashela, who also asked the question there, was one of the original mentees. So all the commercial banks have participated in that initiative, and it was actually scaled up very recently, 2 years ago, to become a national mentoring and coaching program. So there are programs underway. I just think there needs to be, it needs to be scaled up to cover more SMEs, and maybe the information needs to reach more people. Secondly, on the real estate tax changes, we do have a larger document that we will make available that was from the working group. We have mentioned in there as one of the recommendations, strengthening investor attractiveness and protection, updating and expanding bilateral tax treaties, and creating fast-tracked arbitration panels, including investor protection clauses for regulated funds, and reviewing Namibia Competition Commission's regulatory thresholds to consider increasing the outdated 15 million Namibian dollar threshold. So that is in the document that we have prepared. So we have gone quite extensively into that, although we haven't been able to talk about it as much because of the time constraints. I think the sports issue, I think it goes back to blended finance. That is, we need blended finance, which basically introduces a de-risking of the capital by having public funds along with private funds, de-risking that prospect for investors. So that is not something that private sector can do alone. We actually need to do it combined. Something that we actually didn't touch on was procurement. I think procurement is a big source of finance that is actually underrated for SMEs and local businesses. The gentleman mentioned that it was difficult to find a local market for products. And I think we really need to look as a country, both from the private and public sector side, about how do we procure. Are we procuring our own products, our own services, and how can we codify that to make sure that what is produced locally is also consumed locally and tested and refined so that it can be exported.
Final reflections, Datakos?
Yes, I think that would be all from me. There was discussion about NPLs, etc. I think from the commercial side, a lot of work has been done to contain that. We need to understand for our public institution, how do we manage that risk for our development banks and our SME banks and our agricultural banks. We just need to bring that skill in to understand how to de-risk those prospects.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
Thank you.
Can I kindly ask our panelists just to pose for our quick photo opportunity as I introduce our next speaker. We will now be heading into our final working group that will focus on infrastructure and connectivity. To lead us into this discussion and to present for us, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ralph Reuters, the Managing Director of Manica Group Namibia. A round of applause as he makes his way. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Your Excellency, First Gentleman, Honorable Deputy President, Menangula, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. To be the last one is, they want to go. But before I start, Your Excellency, I want to inform you of something about your Prime Minister. So when you send him to deliver speeches on your behalf, Have you ever heard or had feedback or whether he stick to the script or whether he deviates? So there's this consistent phrase that he always uses. You need to talk to him about it. He keeps referring to the other gender. So I don't know what he means by that, but he's a very brave man. But yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to head home. Just to add, I'm here with my brother Beate Zamadila. He's the CEO of Powercom, responsible for infrastructure, IT infrastructure, as we know. So I'm just gonna do one slide, and then I'm gonna give it over to him, because everything pertaining to infrastructure has really been addressed already. So one slide. So this slide is quite critical if you look at NDP6, SMIP, Vision 2030, this was our view that was the main dream of making Namibia the logistics hub. So 25 years ago, there was created a forum called Walfish Bay Corridor Group. And the idea behind this was to promote the corridors linking our ports to the regional hubs, our landlocked neighboring countries. So over the years, it took us time, but we had the Silver Jubilee, a lovely evening. Honorable Deputy Prime Minister was there, our line minister was there, and we celebrated the achievements of the past 25 years. It took 10 to 15 years to reach fruition, but we finally got there. So I just want to quickly brief on, this clock is very big here. I just want to quickly brief on the opportunities. So we've got 3 or 4 corridors: Trans-Oranje, Trans-Kalahari, Trans-Caprivi, now Trans-Zambezi, and there's the Trans-Kunene. So let's start south, Trans-Oranje. So if you look at South African map, Uppington about there on the map, there is probably some of the biggest iron ore reserves and manganese reserves in the world sitting there. South Africa exports 55 million tons of iron ore through the port of Saldanha per year. South Africa exports 17 million tons of manganese through the port of Gqeberha, formerly known as Port Elizabeth. 17 million tons a year, manganese. Then to the east, north of Johannesburg, you've got the coal belt. So that, through Richards Bay Coal Terminal, they handle about 80 to 90 million tons of coal exports a year. That's the capacity of the terminal. But due to challenges, they do about 40 to 50 million tons. And then you've got Maputo, who's benefiting from those coal fields, so that excess cargo is moving to Maputo. Then you have Trans-Kalahari, Botswana, also coal, but on the eastern side, so automatically it goes to Richards Bay. But we've got new mining coming up in Botswana, mostly copper. So on the western side, the Beitapos Maun area, you've got over the past 3 to 5 years, copper concentrate, copper mines that opened up. So all of this cargo has started to flow to Walvis. It's the automatic choice. Iron ore is also being mined there, so there's also opportunity closer to us, so it will come via Walvis Bay. Then you've got Trans-Zambezi. That's really where the Zambia-DRC copper belt, our opportunity lies. So there's around 7 million of precious metals or minerals, copper, zinc, cobalt, nickel, all of that sitting at the copper belt. And we are competing with Dar es Salaam, we are competing with Beira, Maputo, Richards Bay, Durban, those are who we're competing with. So what we have learned over the years is that even though Namport is a monopoly, is a state institute with no competition, they do have competition because we are competing with regional ports. So what we did, I want to put a bit of a positive swing to this, what the Corridor Group managed to achieve through collaboration. So how the Corridor Group is structured is that all the state agencies present at borders is on that board. Private company agencies, Walfish Bay, Port Users Association, Namibia Logistics Association, we meet quarterly, board meetings, board pack properly prepared stuff, and we tackle issues. So for the past 25 years, it might sound a long time, but I just wanted to depict how, if you get private sector, public sector collaboration right, what is possible. So people complain about Walfish Bay, the roads and the what. That is economic growth. I kid you not, when I come here, I lose my energy to Windhoek, because in Walvis we are used to things moving. We work, it's busy, it's chaos. But that is economic growth. So we are fortunate that we've been experiencing that, but unfortunately when you look at the rest of the country, that is not visible. So what have we done to try and, because we can do more cargo, but what have we done to sort of get to the solution? I've got 3 minutes. Collaborating with NAMRA and all the states, we did time release studies at the port of Walvis Bay, we did time release studies at the port of Botswana. And then we did a coordinated border management study. What these things did, they identified the issues, which we all know, and recommendations as to what potential solutions we can implement. So the good thing out of this was that we could really see and agree that the issues we agree on them. The recommendations are accurate. It's what we need to do. And we broke them down into 4 pillars. It's governance, everybody spoke about that. Infrastructure, your state, Your Excellency, I really feel for the civil servants, the frontline staff. They are working with their hands tied behind their backs. They don't have the resources to do their jobs. The other day, you buy them cartridges for printers or paper or kettle if they have to work overtime. You know, that's the level of challenges that the civil servants have, the front line. I don't know about the rest. I'll leave that to you. But these studies really showed us what the issues are. So they are out there. The reports are available. All we ask is for you to avail the resources for these to be implemented. Some of those are the single window system. My line minister has left. Several ministers actually, we had a session. So that has been discussed. We need to speed it up. It will help us, even from an internal control perspective, that if the police, the NAMRA, immigration, everybody's on that system, everybody's got access. If you imported something at this point, you exit at that point, you have access, you have visibility. So that technology requirement, I've got 5 seconds. So due to time, I think everything has been said, but I just want to reiterate that if you collaborate, because we are human beings, we work on relationships, building trust. So if there's one thing, one takeaway for me from this session, it is that we somehow expect to create successful things without building relationships, without getting to know each other, without engaging. So if I get to understand and know my right honorable Prime Minister, the region where he's from, you know, there was a time people were asking how long will he be in the youth. Then I am able to engage and we are able to understand each other and we are able to achieve solutions. So Walfish Bay Corridor Group is something we've tried. My brother Bahupu is currently the leader of it. And I just want to emphasize that there is no them and us, it's just us, it's one Namibia. So this thing of public-private also, we are one. If you start to stop seeing each other that way, then we will make progress faster. But we need to see each other as people, we need to respect each other, and then we will go a long way in achieving our objectives. Thank you. Your Excellency, please allow me to stand on the already established protocol. As my chair already alluded to, all have been said. However, I will only touch on 2 slides, and not a single person who has presented here did not touch or did not use the word connectivity or digital transformation. And as a result, I will talk really just to the digital connectivity ecosystem, starting with what we call the network connectivity ecosystem, and then I'll slightly touch on what we call the data centers ecosystem. Your Excellency, allow me to just start with the digital inequality. Part of the challenges that have been really being experienced by the players within the digital equality, as mentioned earlier, is really about planning in silos, but I will literally touch on the issues that are also resulting into this. The digital, or rather the network ecosystem is literally, it's made up of, the planning starts with applying for the site, for the land acquisition, after identifying where we have weak connectivity. That is followed by ensuring that that site is fully permitted, meaning we should obtain what we call environmental clearance certificate. Now, most of the impact of this is that really is, once this is done timely, it should be able to, address most of the issues which have been addressed here, speaking to e-government, e-agriculture, e-health, e-commerce. What are the challenges that we have been faced with when it comes to really ensuring that we fully permit these sites? One is delay in land approvals, as I indicated. 2 is the delay in the issues of permit. It's not right that it should take us 12 months to get land approval, especially with the local authorities. And 12 months is sometimes the minimal. Sometimes it can go up until 3 years. And that's not right because technology waits for no one. By the time we are into year 3, we are talking of G5 and we require more sites. It's also not right that we should wait for 12 months or more for the clearance certificates. So we are busy addressing this, and I will not really burden the head of state with some of these things. We are busy addressing this, Your Excellency, and we will definitely make strides with the right ministry to address this. Let me touch on the data center ecosystem, and with this, just to indicate that the data center ecosystem requires really, it can set us up to ensure that we are the digital hub of SADC, and it can really propel us to ensure that we attain our digital connectivity. What do we need here? We need data center ecosystem. For this specific item, we need cabinet approval endorsement on national digital infrastructure ecosystem acceleration framework. We need to establish a digital infrastructure task force to champion the above, and that should probably be made up of the Office of the OPM, MICT, CREN, Ministry of Finance, the current operators, the private sectors. And may I mention that we do have data centers in the countries being operated by all the 3 operators, all the major operators in this country. So what we need to find really is just synergy as how do we proceed and to ensure that these data centers, our data center ecosystem is set up to achieve what we want to achieve, which is mostly our data sovereignty, and in the process also create additional jobs. In terms of the network infrastructure, it appears, as indicated, some colleagues might not have gotten the memo, business unusual. Therefore, we really require the local authorities to be on board to ensure that there is speed approval in terms of land allocation. We don't normally ask a lot of land. It's a 10 by 10, and the infrastructure we put up is actually the national infrastructure. So it saves all of us. There is not a single person in this building who will tell me that they are not affected, cannot be affected by connectivity in one way or another, or digital as indicated. The third part is, or rather the third point is that just to ensure that we speed up the issuance of those clearance permits, to ensure that we are able to really accelerate the construction of this network infrastructure. Thirdly, we need to continue, we have what we call Universal Service Fund, which is administered by through CREN, and that fund is doing wonders in ensuring that all the remote rural areas, schools are actually connected to network. So, I still have 3 minutes. In terms of, I think I've covered everything, and I will save ourselves enough time. What I'll close off really is just to indicate that for every network tower we put up, every kilometer of fiber we lay, and every megawatt of data center capacity we may build today, it brings our citizens closer to opportunity, strengthens our sovereignty, and powers a future-ready economy. And maybe just to come back a little bit, because I still have sufficient time, I was trying to summarize. There is another issue that is also equally, it needs our attention, and it's the issue of land dispute, especially in the communal areas and within the local authorities. Currently, we have situations whereby I was talking to one of the executives within the ICT sector last night. They indicated to me that they have actually a backdated invoice of up to 6 million of someone who wants to be paid because we have put up this infrastructure on their site. And what we are calling is to find a solution. I know some entities who are like NAMPowers who are putting up lines. They are probably not subjected so much to some of these things. And we are calling for the ICT sector to also be, we need to find a solution as to how to deal with this kind of challenges, because it can also become quite unsustainable. On that note, Chair, I would like to end here and hand over to the... Okay.
Thank you very much to our presenters. You've done extremely well in terms of saving us time. Thank you for the extra 1 minute and 20 seconds. We will now move, thank you. We will now move over into our Q&A session. We'll follow the same protocols as before. I see there's already a gentleman coming to the front. If there are any other questions, please already begin to make your way. Thank you. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Yaloya Nangolo. I'm Managing Director of ANEREP. Your Excellencies, thank you very much for according a lot of your time on this problem in our country. We are talking about infrastructure, but you've only highlighted the Wavis Bay corridor connection. Now, I'll take you to the infrastructure of power. Yesterday, I've highlighted that the region needs at least 5 gigawatts of power in the region. And the region is connected through this interconnector, which are actually colonial and antiquated. So for Namibia to leverage its strengths in the renewable energy, we need to make sure that we increase our capability to connect to the region. And so thereby we're able to overcome this high import bill, which is actually export of our funds that we're paying for electricity to retain in Namibia. Now, just to look at how much generation has been done. In 2015, NAMPower was generating about a third, 1,500 somewhere there gigawatts per annum. 2022, this number dived down to 816. But if you look at the IPP, Independent Power Producers, in 2015, they were producing 0. And in 2022, they were about 816 gigawatts. That's more than 10%, I would say, yesterday. Now, we should, and that group basically is employing more than 8,000 people in Namibia. And if we take this number, just this number of 300 gigawatts, 800 gigawatts per annum, even if you make it 10 times, and you can do that in Namibia, but we need to enable the transmission, interconnection internationally. You can open that market because it's obvious that our national generator has failed in terms of generating, so it's failed market. We need to open it to the private sector to have interconnector as well as more generation. That's one. And then on the tax issues, which is very important, last year there were changes that are enormously impacting on investors on long-term IPP. We work out in one just 25 megawatts. It's impacted in the region of 800 million over the life of the plant. And this is because we've removed the capability of deducting the shareholders' loans that investors are putting in as loans in the projects. And without that, you don't have any infrastructure. We made exceptions for green hydrogen and we removed for all the other infrastructure. We need to look at this kind of law because it's depressing the capacity of our returns as we're going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ialon. Can we go to the next speaker right at the back? Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, our President. Good afternoon, everybody. I stand on the protocol already observed. My name is Bärbel Kirchner. I'm the CEO of the Construction Industries Federation of Namibia. And I'm not focusing on the infrastructure, I'm focusing on those that are building the infrastructure. We are not a regulatory body, the CIF, but our members must adhere to a code of conduct. Sadly, many businesses out there can do whatever they like, and that undermines our industry. Our industry is not regulated. The construction sector is one of the few that can create jobs very quickly. We can absorb both skilled and unskilled workers almost immediately when projects begin. But for that to happen sustainably, we must support our majority Namibian-owned companies, not our foreign friends. We are not against fair competition, but it must happen on a fair, level playing field. Our industry was the first in Namibia to negotiate a minimum wage, now 19.46 per hour. And also that was long before the national minimum wage existed. It is also mandatory for our employees in our sector to be registered with the pension fund. And there's also a pension fund, the Namibian Building Workers Pension Fund, tailored for our industry. This really reflects our commitment to fair employment, accountability, and long-term worker security. Yet, the construction sector is not treated, if I may say, as part of the national family. Many Namibian companies have the capacity to deliver, contrary to what some believe. No one should justify giving tenders to foreign companies for any reason, and most certainly not based on general assumptions about local capacity.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just ask you, in the interest of time and just to be fair to everyone else, we're only allowing a few more questions. I believe the point has really come across strongly. Sorry, ma'am. I will have to move on to the next question. Apologies for that. Mr. Josephat?
Yes. I suppose my question flows a bit from our presentation. So infrastructure projects are one of those that lend themselves to triple P's, private-public partnerships. And that's simply because of the size, the capital requirement, and the time duration and the skills requirement as well, because like I said, it requires multidisciplinary skills. But I think these projects are likely to sit in the spaces, in the public spaces because of the size of it. So it's likely to sit in the local authorities, likely to sit within the government departments, SOEs, and so on. But I think the coordination and the streamlining that we were talking about, how do we ensure that we have, on a national level, visibility of those projects and with the funding requirement that is stretched out over a period of time? And I think, and I know we've attempted that through the PPP unit, and I think maybe it is necessary to relook if that is working or not. But I think what private sector would want to look at is how do you participate without crowding out private sector, but crowding in the necessary capital to make these things work and make it impactful in the sectors that we want to drive growth and job creation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Josephat. Can I kindly ask all of the questions just to be limited to 30 seconds to make sure we're able to get as many as possible? I believe our next our next question is coming from the gentleman at the back. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency, and all protocol observed. My name is Shaleni Njaba. I'm from the International University of Management and previously from many other sectors in Namibia. My question is regarding the international connectivity, infrastructure and connectivity, and specifically referring to the railway that was extended all the way up to Ashkango. And my understanding is that it was meant to be connected to the Angolan railway network. I know it's their business to do that, but I guess having a bilateral relationship, I'm sure it would also initiate those efforts, because I believe it will give us an opportunity to tap into the giant Angolan economy that can also lead to benefits to the Namibian economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We will limit our questions to the people who are standing. We won't take any more. Can I ask the gentleman right in front of me to please proceed?
Thank you very much. My name is Karuk Basileus. I'm one of the fewer general sport practitioners in the country. I just have, mine is just a contribution on the infrastructure, sport infrastructure in particular. Actual is that it's in the manifesto of the SWAPO to build a sport facility across the constituents. Yes, it's a good one when we receive that news. But now my point is that as far as sport facilities are concerned, we need to define them, what type of sport facilities that we are building and what purpose they serve. Because otherwise, instead of going all across the constituents, it's best we build a standard sport facility that can accommodate international games, while we can able to make use of existing sport infrastructure, like those one at sport school grounds, to upgrade them or either to revamp them so that the community can make use of it. Because otherwise, building a very noble standard, stadia, it requires a lot of funding. And since
Thank
we are
you
talking
so
of,
much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. We'll then take our last question from not the last question, but from the very back. Please go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you. My name is Sanchez Matias. I'm from the Metal and Allied Namibia Workers Union. Talking about infrastructure development, you cannot talk it in isolation. You need to have construction that is happening in that aspect. Now, we are talking about decent job, and decent job in its sense, it makes provision for a fair income, healthy working condition, and then some sort of job security. Now, if you look at the nature of jobs that are being provided in terms of the construction sector, are short-term contract employees. Projects, for instance, you find the companies...
Sorry, sir, in the interest of time, do you mind just posing the question? You don't need to contextualize it. You can just go straight to the question.
Okay. Now, we cannot talk about job security if we do not address the issues of short-term contracts, specifically in the construction sector, where employees are, for instance, given 3-month contract while the project is running for 5 years or 2 years. You cannot talk about social protection in terms of the whole sector of employment while we do not operationalize the National Pension Fund. Please, and I'm happy that Comrade Wise Emmanuel is here. In terms of the Social Security Act, it empowers the government to operationalize the National Pension Fund so that employees are then covered and they have decent protection in terms of social protection. And
Thank you very much. No, thank you very much, sir. We'll then move to the ladies who are right at the back. We're already over time. Please, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm Nerine Ace from Fly Namibia. I'm going to just jump into my contribution. So, Your Excellency, it's important to note that Namibia already has the foundation to position aviation as a driver of growth and regional connectivity. Fly Namibia is a 100% Namibian-owned company, and we have proven that local capability can deliver world-class operations. We are interline ready and code-share ready, which means we can connect with all the big airlines in the world. Route approvals are there, so we are ready to roll out. Fully aligned to connect Namibia with the world and beyond. With the right collaboration, coordinated infrastructure with low-hanging fruits like Timamulilo to integrate or change to an international airport, and supportive government policies, which includes government to prioritize air travel for government officials, we can strengthen Namibia's position as a natural aviation hub in Southern Africa. Just as Dr. Angula mentioned, we don't have time.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry, I think we've gotten that, unless there's anything else that's burning, but I think we can move on to the next question. Thank you.
I'm laterally challenged. Thank you very much. I'm Gita Petzold from the Hospitality Association of Namibia, here for private sector tourism. I can only echo the call for attention on aviation, as that is our umbilical cord to the tourism axis. But I want to also emphasize the need for connectivity in terms of reservations and bookings for our industry. And I have been tasked by my constituency, which is tourism in the rural areas, to ask for clarity in terms of the cry out there for Namibia to consider over and above the big intentions and efforts that have been done by Paratus, MTC and Telecom, whether there's any chance of Namibia to consider allowing Starlink into Namibia to improve our connectivity, especially in the rural areas, Kaza being a case in point where our neighboring countries have done so, and we are lagging behind in terms of connectivity and speed in terms of responding to access. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last question.
Good afternoon. My name is Doreen, City of Windhoek. I just want to make a bold statement. We do have oceans, and there is a shortage of water. My recommendation is that we just maybe, thank you, source water from the oceans. It does include a huge investment, but building a desalination plant. But the byproduct of desalination, is brine. We can also actually be marketed and sold. So then it's a multifaceted income generating proposal. And we do have the energy resource uranium, and we're the third largest uranium deposit, I think, in the world. So we do have the energy source to be able to actually provide energy to the plant.
Thank you very much. Thank you. 10 seconds, is it possible? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Stanish Napinda, CEO of Telecom Namibia. Now, connectivity contributes roughly 10% to the GDP. I'd like to propose the following 9 policy positions.
I'm not sure if we're able to cover 9.
10 seconds, 10 seconds.
Okay, all right.
Number 1, environmental impact assessment, too costly, takes too long, needs to be reduced. Vandalism and theft of copper. It's a minor crime, it needs to be seen as a serious crime. Zero-rated imports for CPE so that we can grow the ICT sector for a certain period of time in telecoms equipment. Zero VAT for airtime. It encourages usage and growth. Nempower dark fiber should be shared, and we should leave the court case, but we need a policy decision from the ministries that we share that infrastructure instead of duplicating. Type approvals, we should have SADC arrangements so that type approvals don't take long and it costs money for CPE. Smart homes, all local authorities should approve architectural plans only if they make provision for telecoms infrastructure so we can have smart homes and civil works when new developments are made. Lastly, spectrum pricing, really unnecessary. It should be reduced or should be zero rated. It just increased the cost. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So to our panelists, you've heard it, a number of cross-cutting issues. Maybe if you can just wrap up with reflections that speak to all of the comments that have and questions that have been posed. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. There was an issue of Starlink which was raised, and I think I will not. This is an issue which is currently before the minister. It will not be appropriate to comment on it. I think, yeah.
All right, just the issues that you want to comment on. Unless there's nothing further from your side, you don't have any...
Yeah, no, probably just to really comment what Stanley indicated. That is some of the bottlenecks that are really striving the sector. And as indicated, the sector stands ready to support the government objectives in as far as e-government services are concerned. The sector stands ready to serve the national objectives in as far as smart agriculture, e-commerce, e-health, and e-everything. So, however, with those obstacles which are currently striving, as we really need to, move and find a long-term solution. The other issue is efficiency, as indicated, because efficiency or lack of efficiency within, especially some of the key government ministries, that is causing us a lot of delays. And it's robbing, our, not just our children, but also our youth, opportunities to be able, to advance or to compete with their peers, be it in schools and so forth. So I think that would be my humble input.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reuters?
I think my brother is conflicted because he's in the industry. I'm not in the industry, so I'm going to say it. So what we picked up in our working group is as a topical issue that kept coming up is that the government is the owner of the most of the telecoms companies, yet they seem to be operating in silos, and they're spending money on infrastructure, doubling up things, fiber lines running next to each other. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of funds. So the complaint that kept coming through is that we're keeping away from the national digital strategy because we operate in silos. So government, as the majority shareholder, needs to look at the telecoms industry, especially where they own, and in my view, I'm not in the industry, create one infrastructure entity that looks after infrastructure. It will save a lot of cost. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for that recommendation. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. We will now move on in our program to provide an overview of the overarching themes that we've covered over the past 2 days. Please join me in welcoming our next presenter back to the stage. Dr. Nangula Wanja will cover all the issues, all of the themes that have come out across the various sessions we have covered. A round of applause for her, please.
Your Excellency, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Vice President, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers and First Lady and the colleagues, it has been a long day. So I'm here to say a few things, and I really want to try and see how do I cut short so that we can go to the other items and close the 2 days. And as I do this, I'm closing off from our side as the coordinating committee. I've got my Vice Chair, please join me here, because this is our last time just to say, as the people that were coordinating this, we need to finalize that one. So really, a lot has been said. I want to highlight 1 or 2 things that probably might not have been said. There's a sector that we left out that I want to speak for. It's called apiculture. And apparently is a sector that is for the bee people, the beekeeping. We talked about agriculture and how much we love it. Without pollination, there will be no agriculture. And the bee people, I met them recently, because one of our biggest current incoming projects wanted to import beehives. And they wanted about 900 beehives, and Namibia could only provide about 100. And then they wanted from South Africa, but we cannot allow South Africa for other reasons. There was only one place they could get that beehives in the world, Israel. The time was short and the stories were long, so we need to build that industry as we grow our agriculture. Another thing was shared strategic partnerships with countries, strategic partnerships with off-takers internationally. One message. Another message, infrastructure has been shared now. We need to strengthen the Warfish Bay Corridor Group. They are doing a brilliant job. We need to give them a little bit more teeth to coordinate and get all of us that are from government that should be in the room to provide support. We need to start thinking more about processes. That's the only way we can deal with silo. In business, they've got something they call business process reengineering. We need to do government business process reengineering about investors. Where do they enter and how do they come out? The job becomes difficult because they cut through 20 other ministries. Somebody's responsible here and you pray that it comes out at the end because too many stops. So we need to think about who is going to control that process, and it's not only for that, it's for many others. And then there's some projects that we have that cut sectors, and our nation doesn't know how to deal with that one. Because we have got too many kingdoms, and every king has got their own rules. So we need to find a way of saying, how do we get cabinet and cabinet committees to sometimes make a decision that we are going to do that project, and everybody in all the other places, please, the decision is made, align with that decision, so that not every king is making their own decision. We talked about MSME. We need to talk about MSME incentives. And we can talk about minimum wage, not to be applied for, but it must be given up front for MSMEs. Shared and affordable workspace. All MSMEs cannot afford offices. Youth fund, we need to actually look about fund for upper youth, because the current one, they said there's too many people that were above 34 that were excluded, but those ones have failed and they have got experiences. So how do we cover for them? And I was saying, if you take our youth fund and we use it more as a seed, so Nangula wants 2 million. Rather say, Nangula, go to the bank. If you get approval and you need to give your 10%, come to the youth fund and they will give you the 2%. Nangula will get 2 million instead of the youth fund giving 100,000 to each people, because yes, we need to give some people 100,000. But the ones that need 10 million, they just need 1 million from the youth fund to use as the seed capital. We need to consider things like that one. And then, of course, like I said, the informal sectors. We need to support the informal sectors better. And in business, there's something they call that when you want to get money, you cannot get in the system. There's 3 Fs. The business people know what I'm talking about. You can get money from friends, you can get money from family. What is the other group? Fools. I say, yes. Unfortunately or fortunately, government has to be the fool, because for many people, they don't have friends, they don't have family. Who is the person that is going to give? The youth fund needs to be that one that is giving the people that Lazarus was talking about. They just need 200. They just need 1,000. Please don't ask them for many documents. They don't have them. How do we give them? So I think informal sector employs 60% of our employed people. We need to have targeted support for them. So as I do that, together with my vice chair, I want to thank many people, and I don't have the list, so coordinating committee people, thank you. Working group members, thank you. My vice chair, thank you very much to you and members of the private sector. Public sector supporters that work with us on the committees, thank you. One thing that NIPDB is privileged with is a great board. We have got the best board of all SOEs. Our board members, thank you for allowing NIPDB and the NIPDB staff members to support this process. And finally, I have the best team in Namibia at NIPDB. And they are here to save Namibia, to save our minister, to save cabinet. And yes, there's a lot we don't understand. We don't understand politics very well. We don't understand diplomacy very well, but we understand how to get things done. And we are here to support you. I don't know if you want to say something.
The one thing with Dr. Wanja is she keeps on springing surprises on me. And she knows I need to prepare myself before I can say anything. But the one thing maybe I would try and say is that to our colleagues in government, our leaders, you have spent a lot of time over the last 2 days sitting here. And I think from the private side, very privileged and humbled. Having spent a lot of time in my own country. And I think as you have said here, you have had a lot of complaints. And I said to Her Excellency yesterday that it's not complaints, but commitments. I want to say to our leaders here, our colleagues on the public side, and I think Eduardo kind of alluded to this yesterday. There is not many countries in the world, and this might be the exception actually, where you can get almost your entire leadership. We are sitting in here with ministers in the chairs. And I'm not sure how many of us have realized that, I hope we know all our ministers. Where is a minister sitting there? It is an exception. It's not a norm. From business, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the moment we give the speakers time, then they finish early. So we are still, Right Honorable Prime Minister, busy caucusing there how we can close it off, and some of the items that we need to include there as well. But still, coming to a very, very important reflection from the Director General of the National Planning Commission has got a huge, huge task to ensure that the targets in NDP 6 are met, and the room here is responsible, of course, for pushing us there as well. But before I get to call on the Director General, we've been having, of course, like we said, it's collaboration. There's been a lot of conversation with private sector players, public, and so forth. And there are some 2-3 individuals here in the room that felt like, look, if you're gathered here like this, particularly as captains of industry, why can't we practically put 1 or 2 cents together? And whether it's an entrepreneurial, youth entrepreneurship support fund or youth entrepreneurship employment, whatever you want to call it. In Angola, there was just a request from 1 or 2 business people that they want to put their hand up to put some cash forward for that. And those 1 or 2 businessmen, can I have and I think this is real, that's practical intervention. Who knows how much you can get to be able to put somewhere quickly? Where are the ushers? Can I have a microphone quickly? Just for 2 minutes, indulge us, please. Just move to that gentleman there with the curly hair there, the one that brought the oil vase to the State House the first time. He goes by the name of Mr. Knowledge Kati. Knowledge, I'm going to start with you. We've had this conversation. Please give him the mic. Knowledge, can you please stand? How much are you putting forward towards this fund? He was a huge proponent in the corridor. So we just want to really see where he's going to set the upset price for that conversation. A round of applause, please. The mic on? Just test the mic there whether it's on. Also, you are killing there. There was a dramatic effect. There was a build-up that we were working on, another one is going to come there. But nonetheless, it's just, when individuals that are able want to support, we take on the chance and then we see what we can create going forward out of this Menangula. There we go.
1 million.
1 million, okay. That's a very, very good start. 1 million, that's a very, very good start. Are we calling that the upset price? That's where we're starting? Do we have any takers or we're taking it offline? Knowledge, who else was it? You don't want to put out your comrades, all right. But the idea really is to see...
Is it 1 million Namibian dollar or US dollar?
Since it's knowledge, Kati, we have to be very sure. Knowledge, please, is it US or Namibian? Namibian dollars, all right. No, that's good. Just a round of applause for him, please, there. So that conversation, Nangula, will continue between the two of you. We'll see how we can formalize it, maybe a platform in the next couple of days to see who else we can rope in here that can maybe even provide that seed capital for 1 or 2 projects. Thank you very much. Let me just extend my apologies once again to Her Excellency the Vice President, of course, Right Honorable Prime Minister, for interjecting in the program like that. But these are your children. These are the people that grew up on your word and really just wanted to show that sort of support. Nonetheless, please help me welcome the Director General of the National Planning Commission, Ambassador Kaire Mbwende, to just give us the way forward in as far as the responsibilities from the National Planning Commission as Secretariat for this platform. Round of applause for him, please. I think we can do better.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Honorable Vice President, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, all protocol observed. My task now, and that's what I've been assigned to, is to briefly talk about what will happen after the curtain close on this inaugural Namibia Public-Private Forum. This gathering was not a talk show, but a forum for commitments and actions. What makes this forum different from many others is our shared understanding that the outcomes, resolutions, and commitments made here today must not remain aspirations. They must be implemented, tracked, and reported upon in a transparent and accountable manner. I wish to assure Her Excellency, the President, and indeed all participants, that the National Planning Commission, as the custodian of national development planning and coordinator, will take responsibility for ensuring that every commitment arising from this forum is translated into tangible follow-up action. The outcome document of the Namibia Public-Private Forum will not be treated as routine report. It will be formally tabled before Cabinet for endorsement and policy alignment. This process will ensure that the forum's resolutions accelerate implementation of our commitments under the 6th National Development Plan and other sectoral strategies. One of the key recommendations presented to the government was the establishment of a cross-cutting task forces to undertake a more detailed diagnosis of these critical issues. Therefore, the current working groups constituted for the inaugural Namibia Public-Private Forum will be consulted to aid implementation and monitoring and evaluation. For greater efficiency an assessment will be made to determine whether the working groups need further capacitation to carry out their designated functions. Your Excellency, what we were establishing here is not one-time engagement, but a living platform of shared accountability. The NPC, in partnership with NIPDB, is committed to providing the technical backbone for monitoring, data collection, and evaluation that will transform the Namibia private partnership into an institutionalized, enduring national instrument that continuously informs decision-making, budget alignment, and policy refinement. Let me also emphasize that our monitoring approach will be inclusive, drawing from the spirit of partnership that defines the forum. We will engage sectoral champions, industry representatives, your organizations, and academia in assessing progress. This participatory model ensures that no stakeholder is left behind in the journey from commitment to implementation. I want to underscore our collective obligations that every working group resolutions made here will be used to speed up the implementation of our national plans with measurable outcomes. The Namibia Public-Private Forum will become the pulse through which we assess our progress in realizing the President's vision of creating 500,000 jobs and achieving an inclusive, competitive, and resilient Namibian economy. Your Excellency, rest assured that we will remain committed in tracking, evaluating, and reporting on the commitments made here today, not as an administrative exercise, but as a national responsibility. Through this collaborative monitoring process, we will enhance a result-driven culture of delivery that strengthens trust between government, business, and the Namibian people at large. And I thank you.
Thank you very much to the Director General of the Planning Commission. Please give him another round of applause. We are going to take a short, very, very short 5-minute break. Please remain in the room if you can.
While we are waiting for Her Excellency to make the entrance, just a reminder, kindly make sure to scan the QR code that you're seeing there, just to provide some feedback. Let me not keep you standing, because I see that there are also very senior youth here as well. And then as soon as the door opens, I think it'll be fair game for all of us to just rise then. Thank you very much. No, Comrade DG, I wasn't really looking at you. The Prime Minister is putting me into trouble. Huh? Comrade PM, please. I don't want to lose my citizenship. Just while we're waiting, there's a Mazda key. I don't know, anybody lost a Mazda key? Looks like a very expensive Mazda also. I don't know why I'm surprised. I'm in here with industry titans. So if you've lost a Mazda key, please just pick it up at the technical desk. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to stand to welcome back Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, to give us the final reflections for this very, very important gathering of public and private sector.
My goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh, this is really Namibia, I'm telling you. The hall is just as full as it was yesterday. Honestly, this is something, this is very much something. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. First, I have really to recognize our directors of ceremony, who have also served as our moderators. Como Lucia Vetboy, our Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, como Dungurare, Arajangurare, our Prime Minister, como Edithete, our Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Director General of National Planning Commission, Honorable Governors, the Chief Executive Officers, ED, Executive Directors. I'm still wanting to talk about PSs. When I talk about Chief Executive Officer, I also include the Chief Executive Officer of the Namibia Investment Development Board, and all captains of industry, fellow Namibians, the cares of our nation. Those 2 days we have been here have marked a strong beginning on the Namibia Public-Private Forum. However, this forum will only have a real and lasting impact if each one of us, individually and collectively, does our part. We must act with discipline, urgency, diligence on what we have been discussing here. What stood out most over those 2 days was the unity of a nation striving for a common goal, as our founding president taught us. And definitely, I'm convinced we will emerge victorious. I wish to thank all the participants, stakeholders, or presenters, stakeholders, and participants for open discussions that guided our work in the past 2 days. The tone of the engagement showed that we can speak frankly, differ respectively, and still move forward together. That spirit of true partnership is what will carry Namibia from dialogue to delivery. During these 2 days, we reminded ourselves that progress starts with trust. And from the discussions, we have really shown that the government and the private sector, we trust one another. Because when government and business meet each other halfway, in the spirit of true partnership, we create the right environment for growth. During this forum, from all the statements delivered, the panels that took place, and the 10 working groups
a lot of issues came out. However, all of them were focusing on one direction, and that is, how do we grow our economy, create jobs, and take our people out of poverty? I must tell you that this engagement was served by able secretariat, and a clear and comprehensive report will be produced immediately for implementation. Among the issues raised, just for a reflection, include over-regulations. We need to align regulations to enhance efficiency and productivities. The current processing of visa, work and import permits are considered not friendly to investment. It has also come out clear that we must make it easy to do business in Namibia by reviewing and amending policies that are hold us back, simplifying process, cutting unnecessary delays, and align our institutions. Equally, it comes to light that quality service delivery, honesty and integrity are the key to success. We need a predictable and a fair system that builds confidence. And of course, as we know, confidence attracts investment, creates jobs, and drives inclusive growth. We agree Namibia needs to be competitive if we are to unlock our economy. Hence, the issue of incentives has been highlighted, as well as the importance of collaboration and to adopt a culture of agency. Skill and capacity building, as well as financing, are also important elements to enable us to take our nation to prosperity. Namibia is part and parcel of the global village, and therefore connectivity and digitalization cannot be overemphasized. We agree that there is a need to align our education system with the needs of the labor market and equip our young people with practical and digital skills. In this way, we will build confidence, a confident generation ready to compete in the labor market. The high-level panels capture the essence of this forum, that the government cannot do everything alone. Real transformation happens when we create more space for private sector participation, while the government focuses on enabling, regulating, and ensuring fairness. This is how we move from potential to progress and from planning to prosperity. We also affected on the immense potential of our mining industry. Namibia is richly endowed with strategic minerals that the world needs. If well managed and sustained, mining can be a true game changer that lifts our economy to the new heights and improve the livelihood across the country. But to fully benefit, we must develop a specialized skills that this sector requires. Namibia must be equipped to take up the high-value jobs of the future rather than depending on outside experts. The United Nations participation added an important global dimension through the Global Accelerator on Jobs and Social Protection. Namibia is working hand in hand with international partners who share our vision of inclusive prosperity. There are 4 focus areas: youth employment, entrepreneurship, expansion of social protection, and transformation from informal to formal economy, aligns seamlessly with our national priorities. The AU Agenda 2063, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Pact for Future, adopted at the UN last year under co-facilitation of Namibia and Germany, is also an important document to refer to. Together, we must ensure that the public-private partnership, which we have recommitted ourselves over the past 2 days, delivers tangible results for our people. Our sectoral working group also brought forward practical and powerful ideas. The agriculture, water and fishery cluster reminded us that food security is both a matter of dignity and development. We must modernize agriculture, expand agro-processing, and promote Namibia's product to strengthen local industry. The creative industry, sports and tourism group reminded us that culture is also an economy. Our music, film, craft, and tourism hold immense potential to create jobs, build national pride, and share the Namibian story with the world. The public and private sector must collaborate closely to nurture and invest in creative power. The session on health, housing, land, and sanitation reminded us that inclusive development begins with dignity. Access to quality health care, affordable housing, service delivery, and proper sanitation are not privilege, they are rights. We must act with urgency and unity to make those rights living reality for every Namibian. The question now, where do we go from here? To reduce the time of registering business in Namibia, I want to inform you that a decision is already taken that by the end of November, the one-stop shop must be up and running. It is going to be hosted at the old SME building bank. That's where the place is already cleaned, the furniture is available, and all ministers who are supposed to be there, they are already directed to make sure that senior officials are placed in that building without delay. And this has been the first task I had given to the Prime Minister, and he said he has delivered. So that is now off the table. I have also to inform you that all relevant ministries, they are directed to play their part. But for now, I want to inform you that, for example, the Ministry of Agriculture, with particular to the agricultural sector, they are directed to make sure that for them to ensure that the plant health capacity is enhanced before the end of this financial year, which is ending in April. They must be deploying specialized skills to address the emerging needs and the challenge of this sector. The Ministry of Agriculture is also to speed up the establishment of the structure to commence the implementation of the transformation of the agro-food sector implementation plan, which identify priority investment areas and classified stakeholder roles by December 2025. As for the other issues, I would like to have a report by the end of next week. Issues that we addressed here. The Ministry of Home Affairs must ensure that the immigration bill is enacted before the end of financial year. Ministry of Home Affairs must improve the infrastructures at the Hosea Kutako International Airport by adding more counters if they are needed in the arrival halls. We must also review, as a matter of urgency, the visa regime and simplify visa application forms to make it clear for investors and visitors to access the special visa program. As a Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, now I am the President. I have been saying, and now I'm saying it, serious investors who are proving that they really have the money, let us give them 5 years investors visa. I don't want to open the country to unwanted elements, but I'm talking about real investors. And I'm sure the current minister will behave for the same, because if it's not that operation, I had it, I know it will happen. And then the Minister of Home Affairs should digitalize the application for employment and student permit for easy processing and facilitation as of April 2023. By 2026. Coming now to the finance. Definitely, the Namibian government is poised to implement a series of tax reform designed to boost both competitiveness and fairness within the economy. Those initiatives align with global trends that advocate for increased tax to GDP ratio to facilitate economic growth and promote reducing inequality through progressive tax framework. Those of you who have been following me from 2022, I was saying, when you vote me, I don't want to lead. I want to lead a developmental state and not just a revenue-driven state. I believe if we work together under a developmental state whereby as I'm taking my tax, I also want to leave something for you, but not for you to squander, to invest back so that you can increase my revenue collection. That is what I'm saying when I talk about a developmental state. In the short term, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025 includes 10 proposals previously announced in the budget and have been presented for legislative consideration and is anticipated to be passed into the law by the end of this financial year. I affirm among the key proposal changes are enhancement to corporate tax across all sectors, including manufacturing. The corporate tax rate has been reduced from 32% over MTEF and further down to 28% to close the gap within the rest of SADC. Another thing that is happening, there is new differentiated reduced rate of 20% for small and medium enterprise to support local entrepreneurs during their growth phase, and a 20% tax rate for special economic zone enterprises in line with the global expectation for corporates to pay a minimum fair share of taxes where they have economic activities. Considering the deliberations of the past 2 days, the Minister of Finance is directed to investigate the possibility of any additional categories under the special economic zone taxation structure to this effect. To be in line with other jurisdictions, we propose a 15% effective tax rate for qualified special economic zone enterprises who make a minimum investment to set by the Minister of Finance and the Minister of International Relations and Trade. Further announcement regarding the qualification thread will be made in the main budget in March. Also, I said more issues raised here are going to be investigated, and I will have to get a report in order for the industry to be informed accordingly. Fellow Namibians, I listened very carefully to the debates. And one thing, I welcomed the proposal to set up task forces. I welcome that. Accordingly, I have decided to set up 3 task forces as follows. Number 1, task force on economic recovery. Number 2, task force on health. Number 3, task force on housing. With this, I'm mandating the Secretariat of this forum, como Director General of National Planning Commission, to work out the modalities, because I can see that those who participated in the working groups and the different committees are going to be the nucleus of this task force. But of course, the public sector will also be represented. The Secretariat has to report to me by the end of this week, starting on Monday, to enable me to constitute those task forces. and for them to start working immediately and report to myself by the end of January 2026. I know the proposal here was talking about 2 months. I'm giving November and December. By then, by January, I must get the report that will help me to decide on the way forward. Fellow Namibians, as we conclude this forum once again, I'm encouraged by the unity of purpose that filled every session we held. Everyone spoke with one goal in mind: to make Namibia a conducive environment for investment in order to take our people out of poverty. We know that great societies are built by men and women who planted trees under whose shade they may never sit. That is the kind of vision and selflessness that must guide us. I thank once again everybody for participation, for your honest discussion, for the energy that defined every session we have had. Let us continue with one heart and one mind, because Namibia's true success will never be measured by what divides us, but what unites us. I will be able to have this gathering again before the end of this year. So therefore, I hope and I believe it's not too early. We have just November in between. To really wish you a Merry Christmas. Very soon we are going to see the Independence Avenue brighter than any before. So why can't we leave this room more brighter also? Because it is really brightened up. And a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And let us really come back full of energy as we are ending with energy. This was really a good dialogue, and I appreciate all of you. Ministers, thank you for coming today. Yesterday there was miscommunication. I was really angry. Apparently there was parliament. I'm no more a parliamentarian. So those who came and then they left, there was parliament. They say they went to answer questions, but today you have seen how I was yesterday. The whole day, that's how I was. So it's good that you have came. Governors, thank you, and everybody, thank you. You see, I don't want you to go. The meeting is closed. I thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Your Excellency, kindly please remain standing. We have a small token of appreciation from the Secretariat for you. If you can move to the center of the stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you. She was sparing what she knows is I like flowers. It's true. They are nice.
Kindly remain standing so we can close off with the African Union and national anthems.